Hi friends, this is Terry Squires with today's Nashville, This is Faith. I'm in Franklin, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville. We just finished season 8. You won't want to miss this season. I sat down with Ray Cooper, comedian, and he shares his life on the stage, his jokes, and his battle with anxiety. You won't want to miss his episode. There is nothing more contagious than laughter. Let it fill your life. Have you ever lost something that was important to you? Comedian Ray Cooper came to Nashville to be a singer, and through the learning process, he discovered from a dear friend who was already in the entertainment business that a strong suit wasn't singing. While dealing with anxiety and depression, he gave up on his dream. And this led him to discover something extremely important that changed his life. And it could change your life too. This is his story. This is today's Nashville. This is Faith. Ray, I am so excited that I finally have you on the show. Welcome to today's Nashville.
I am so excited to be here, Terry.
You have been busy. You've been all over the place with your comedy routines. And before we get started, tell me one of your funniest jokes.
Well, I don't know if it's the funniest, honey, but I'm going to tell you what, I've been on a weight loss journey here lately, and sometimes in life you just have to realize the importance of things. I've had to realize whether I like to breathe or not, so I don't cut my own toenails anymore. I've had to start going to the podiatrist. That's what you get when you turn 40.
40? Well, look at you.
It's 42, but we never tell the truth about that. God doesn't judge over that one.
So you've been in comedy for a long time. Mm-hmm. But before we get started, let's go back. And you're not from Tennessee?
Originally from East Tennessee, moved to Alabama, and then moved back to Nashville.
What was life growing up?
Life was good. Life was good. I took care of my mom. You know, I didn't have the normal childhood. I grew up taking care of my mom from an early age. It was me and my dad.
Okay.
My dad's a Vietnam veteran who has suffered from PTSD. Mm-hmm. And so the normal childhood of friends and normal childhood of doing things, going places, you know, my mom got hurt. She was a nurse at the VA and she got hurt. So I took on the role of a caretaker really early in life.
How old were you?
I want to say I was about 8 or 9.
8 or 9?
Mm-hmm. And she hurt her back, wasn't able to go do things, which started anxieties early in life, and I'll tell you more about that. You know, just a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Then you start having these things going on in life when you're at school, and you're like, oh my God, why's my heart racing? Why am I feeling so anxious when I'm supposed to be a kid? No high school prom, no high school, you know, the things that normal children do, but I'm thankful I got to do it for her.
So it started around 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. Did you have any friends in school, or?
Well.
Or was it a difficult time?
It was a difficult time. It was a difficult time. I really couldn't relate with the younger generation, the kids, because I was always around adults. Mm-hmm. Not that that's not a great thing. It has certainly equipped me to be able to always, Lord forgive me, I try not to make fun of this newer generation, but you know, I'm actually able to talk to people. Mm-hmm. It was hard growing up. But
is it just you? You only no siblings?
Mm-hmm. God broke the mold, honey.
Well, what was high school like?
High school was very interesting. The level of anxiety I was under at that time, and I was going through prescription use of Xanax at that time for anxiety levels and having to deal with my mom too. I don't tell many people this, but might as well tell you since it's on camera. I only finished like 2 years of high school, and then I went and got my GED.
Okay. A lot of people do that. Mm-hmm. No, you said no prom?
Oh, no. No. So she saved money.
Were you always funny?
I didn't think I was. I've always been a quick wit. I get that from my mom. My mom could totally just tear you up. My dad, very straight-laced, very to the point, but Mom was always the type that could literally just, whatever the occasion, light you up with a joke.
Do you have any funny stories about her?
I have lots of funny stories about her, but her compassion is one of the best memories I have about her. I'll never forget, a lot of people wouldn't think it was funny, but I totally did. She started getting dementia. I never drove. So, because of anxiety, I can get in front of 1,000 people and tell a joke, but I can't drive a car. Is that not funny?
Do you not drive today?
No,
okay.
Honey, I got my driver sitting out in the driveway with the co-pilot. But, I'll never forget, we were going to pay our gas bill. And we had a little Saturn. She was so happy to get that new car. And she drove by and she knocked the guttering off the side of the gas company and just kept going on. And she said, "Oh, Lord, I should go tell him." Then she forgot. And I wasn't about to go tell because I thought, Lord mercy, we're going to go to jail. And my mama don't even really know what's going on.
But she was compassionate. She was a nurse.
Oh, yeah. Always compassionate. Never really cared for what was going on with herself, more so with other people.
Well, were you involved in any activities in high school or like singing or anything?
No, I was always an avid movie lover, always an avid music listener. But as far as getting to do the things that normal kids did, I never really did it.
But you had a passion for singing, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Till someone told me the truth. But
we're going to talk about that, too.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that.
So when did that passion begin? Was it early on in life?
Oh, yeah. I love to get in front of the TV. And, when you're going through stuff, and as a kid, you don't really know you're going through it. You're just like, well, I guess everybody's like this. You get in front of the TV and you sing, and you're just like, oh, wow, I want to be a star. Well, so does 90% of America, too. So there you go. But it would take me to another place. And the singing, and then you see people. I grew up sporadically in church, and I'll explain that too. It just takes you to another place.
Did you ever get lonely?
I will say it did get lonely.
And how did you fill that void?
I didn't know how to feel it for a long time. You don't have any brothers or sisters. You don't really have any friends per se, unless you got the newest video game unit. And you don't realize that until later on in life, that they were just hanging around because of that. Once I met the Lord, I found out how to fill that void of loneliness, because He's really the only one that can fill it.
Yeah, that's true. How old were you when you met Jesus?
I was around 13, 14. I can remember it. I was watching. It was funny because neither one of us were Christians, really. My dad was a Sunday school teacher, but I never really went to church on a consistent basis. But I remember me and my adopted grandmother watching the Happy Goodmans one night, 50th anniversary special at the Ryman. And it almost made me mad when I would see Vesta go out there and twirl that hanky. And I thought, wonder what makes her so happy.
Wasn't she wonderful?
Absolutely. And then to find out the joy of the Lord is what made her happy. And it just totally transforms your life.
We're going to talk about that when we come back. And also, a friend told you something very personal to your heart, and it changed your life. And you also got addicted to some anxiety medicine, anti-anxiety, and we're going to talk about that when we come back.
Absolutely.
Ray, you were talking about giving your life to the Lord when you were watching the Happy Goodmans. Do you remember the moment you just said, all right, I'm surrendering?
I noticed things started to change. My love for different genres of music started to change. You know, I don't make fun of myself in church, but I mean, I'm like almost a cartoon character because the tears shoot off of my face. Another one of my jokes is I cry like Tammy Faye on Larry King Live. You know, God started dealing with my heart and changing who I was supposed to be. Now, just because you just got saved doesn't mean you're not going to go through turmoil and strife. A lot of people from the outside looking in have the misconception that a Christian's life's perfect.
What happened after that?
Life started changing. Mother just steadily declined. Over the years, I noticed that the pills were needed more and more to subdue the pain, I guess. It was from constantly seeing someone dying in front of you all the time while still wanting to do more for your life. But yet, in a small town, you don't really know how to do it. And then you've got someone dying in front of you, and then your other parent has PTSD to where they're really not involved a lot in your life either. So, but just kept moving forward, the years passing up until the time that it was getting ready for her to pass away.
And you said that you had issues with anxiety. Did you get addicted to a medication?
Oh, yeah. It's very easy. I always say, you know, you can never judge anybody because it was one of the easiest things to get addicted to. It's called Xanax. It's a barbiturate. You know, people toss around the name Valium, Xanax. I'm going to go take a Valium. I'm going to take a Xanax. Well, you know what? It's really easy to get addicted to them. But
how old were you?
I was in like my late teens to early 20s and into that area of mother passing away.
Okay. So for a long time. How did you get past it? How did you resolve your addiction?
It sounds unreal, and I've told my story over and over again. A lot of people are like, I can't believe you would tell somebody this because it's embarrassing. And I'm like, well, you know, it's not, because I got to tell what God did for me. I can remember when my mom died, I went in and did all the aftercare for her because I needed that time with her. And but then I got home after the funeral and everything, and I said, oh my God, I really can't even remember what happened. I've taken so much. And I was like, you know what? Something's got to change. God, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to take this from me or take me to be with you because I can't stand this anymore. And I locked myself away. It wasn't easy either, Terry.
What do you mean you locked yourself away?
I locked myself in my bedroom.
For how long?
It was almost 2.5, 3 weeks.
And you just...
The DTs were horrible. I can remember.
Did you know you were going to go through DT?
No, I'd never been through anything like this. It was absolutely horrible. People now are like, I'm like, well, where were you when I was going through it? But they're like, you should have been hospitalized. I was like, well, maybe that's what's wrong with me. But, you know, it was hard. It was so horrible. And I'll never forget, my dad's sister had drugged me out of the house one day.
Did they know what was going on with you?
They did, and they had told me for years my nickname was Pumpkin. And she was like, Pumpkin, you're going to have to ditch that stuff and let God heal you. And I'm like, there's no way. I was so dependent on it. But you have to get to a point and allow God to move in your life, Terry. You have to get to that point. And, he can do anything for you. But you have to get to the point of allowance for him to do it. Because sometimes we tie God's hands.
Did you know when you locked yourself in your room for 3 weeks, did you know inside what you were doing and saying, okay, I've got to fix this and it's just going to be me and the Lord?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's all I had. There was no friends other than my aunt coming to check on me.
Did she know what you were doing when you were in the room?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was, it was one of the hardest things I've ever been through in my life. I don't suggest it for anybody because you really need help.
Yes.
And God knows I can need all the help I can get. But it is so worth it to not be on that level of dependence. Does that mean, I always tell people, a miracle, lots of times it's like a biblical miracle, just like that. But sometimes a miracle is over time, too. We have to differentiate. But I'm just so thankful God worked that in my life. And he has changed and done wonderful things that, I never doubted the Lord, but I never thought that they would actually happen so quick.
What happened after the 3 weeks?
After the 3 weeks, I wasn't depending on the nerve pills, and I had...
Did you ever have that urge to?
Oh, Lord, yeah, honey. I work in customer service every day. I'm like, Lord, Jesus help me. I really need a Xanax today. But then I have to say, okay, Ray, look what God did for you. And he helps us. Faith is an everyday journey. It's not something magical, like I said a minute ago, with the outside looking in. It's an everyday step. And a walk, it's your walk with the Lord.
So where did God lead you after getting clean and you stayed in Alabama? When did you come to Nashville?
Well, my dad and I, we lived in a little trailer in East Tennessee after Mom died, and we lost everything. I had met a lady on social media, and she was going through things in her own life. And we both couldn't afford to live alone, so my dad and I, we moved in with her and her elderly mother who had dementia. And that's when we moved to Alabama. We moved there with 2 UPS boxes.
So you went from East Nashville to Alabama?
East Tennessee to...
Or East Tennessee to Alabama? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, and it was a walk of faith because those were the 2 only people I knew in Alabama. And then we were down there for about a year, and God used that year to really humble me. It was a very hard year. Wonderful people, but it was a very hard year. And then, of course, I met my wife on social media. That shows you online dating is dangerous. And I moved to Nashville about a year later.
Well, we're going to talk about a friend who told you you're coming to Nashville to be a singer. Mm-hmm. He got in your face and he said, nah, it's not going to happen. And your dreams were dashed. And we're going to talk about it when we come back.
All right.
Ray, you came to Nashville to be a singer, but that didn't happen. Tell me what your friend said.
Oh, I have a dear friend who's been in gospel music since the beginning of time. And
Do I
love
know
her.
him? Mm-hmm. Or her, okay. You don't have to mention her name.
Her name's Judy.
Okay.
We were talking one day, me and my wife were taking care of her during a health battle with her. And I said, Lord, Judy, I said, you like my new CD? I'd had this new CD done and all the new artwork and everything on it. And I thought I was the best thing since sliced bread. And she goes, I want to tell you something. I thought, uh-oh. She's going to cut me. And she said, you're not that great as a singer. She said, but you can make $1 million telling jokes. And I said, what do you mean by that? And she's like, I helped develop Mark Lowry. And she said, I think that you could be something. And I said, well, what do you think's funny? And she goes, your life stories were funny. And I said, well, they weren't funny to me.
Did it crush your spirit, though, when you knew that you weren't going to be a singer?
I can't help to say, but it did. It did. I had always depended on that. And, you know, sometimes God will do that. We have a direction that we think our life's going to go in, and He'll about face. Mm-hmm. And you have to figure it out. With Him, of course. And I'll tell you, it was crushing. But I thank God that He did it, because, you know, I would have still been, okay, let's make another song. Let's sing another song. And thank God for the people that are not having to listen to me sing it.
It's a difficult industry, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Very competitive. So you came from Alabama, mm-hmm. you lost everything, mm-hmm. and got married. So how did you survive in Nashville?
You know, Nashville's a very hard place to live. Very, very. So if you're watching out there, it's very expensive. But thank God, He's always provided. I was a front-end manager at Walmart, and I'm a front-end manager at a hotel right now. That's my real job. I always say that, unless you can pay those bills, it's a real job. And I thank God for it. But He has just directed every step along the way as far as my comedic journey. He brought that in through the hotel that I work at. When she told me that I was supposed to be a comedian, well, okay, so I'm out here in left field. Okay, so where do I actually start? And the Christian industry is a very, very hard industry to get into, especially when I know a few people, but not the people that you need to get started. And I have done a few churches and all this and all that. I have done some festivals, but it's funny how God works. Sometimes He'll take you to the end of your road before you actually figure out what road you're supposed to be on. And I have to tell you this, I was standing at my job one day, and I had met a gentleman. He's probably in his 60s, and he comes up to me and he goes, would you like to be the man version of Minnie Pearl at our country music show? And I said, well, Lord, yeah. I said, but there's so many smoke machines in Nashville. Are you for real? And he goes, yeah, you're supposed to be there for Friday night. And I was like, okay, God, this is really the season of acceleration, but this is too fast.
What day was it?
This was on Wednesday.
Oh. That was pretty fast.
But that's how God works. All those years of struggling and trying to fit in, you know, I still do churches and events, but all those years of trying to fit in, and then God brings it. There you go. You've been waiting. And I'll never forget that first night at the Music City Hayride. I opened up for Miss Leona Williams. And being backstage and just seeing, it makes me want to cry. Just seeing how God is faithful.
Yes, He is.
And how He worked that miracle out. You know, that might not be a miracle for somebody else, but it was a miracle for me. And He's just allowed me to perform with some of the most wonderful musicians. And I was thinking today's Ronnie McDowell's birthday. And I thought, you know what, God? You let me open for Him.
That's wonderful. So tell me where God is leading you now.
You know, I am still one of the cast members on the Music City Hayride.
Tell me about that.
It is a nonprofit for the veterans. We have about four to six shows a year. We always have one of the country legends, and we open for them. It's about a 2-hour show. It's over at the Troubadour.
Is it always here in Nashville?
Mm-hmm. Okay. At the Troubadour Theater.
Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful show. All the proceeds go to benefit veterans.
Where else has God taken you?
I mean, you know, just like I've always watched movies and things where people perform, and this doesn't seem like a big thing to a lot of people, but I've watched movies and people performing at fairs and shows, and, you know, the Patsy Cline movie where her and Loretta are performing on the fair circuit. Last year was my first year doing the Tennessee State Fair.
What was that like?
It about makes my heart explode. just to see the faithfulness of God. And I'm back there again this year.
Okay, so you have anxiety, or you had anxiety. What's it like to get in front of a crowd?
You know, it's not always easy, but I have tried to sum this up. I was talking to a coworker and I'm like, you know what? I believe that if it didn't make you nervous at all, it wouldn't mean anything to you.
That's true.
And because I want to give people 110%, more than I give myself. And it's always, it's always just to get you out there. And once I'm out there, they're my people. They're my people, and I'm sent to give them joy, because you know what? I realize they might not have had any before they come in.
Do you share Jesus with them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have a few seconds left. What would you like to say to somebody that's listening to you today?
You know, above anything that you take away from this, it's not about Ray Cooper. It's not about comedy. It's about just listen for God. Listen, because He is going to talk to you. He's going to move in your life. It might not be today. It might not be tomorrow. But He's going to move for you, and He can make the impossible possible.
That is so true. Ray, thank you so much. It's such a blessing to have you here today.
I'm so thankful to be here, Terry.
My friend, are you struggling with anxiety in your life? Like Ray said, take it to the Lord, lay it down at His feet, and let Him take care of it. Trust Him. This is today's Nashville. This is faith.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.